I'm Christian Gardner here for Pirate TV on the campus of Seton Hall as we're getting the opinions of students after the first presidential debate and the 2020 election as a whole. So did you watch the first presidential debate?
Yes, I did.
What were some of your biggest takeaways?
That I think the issue of leadership and what kind of leader we want in this country is at stake. We saw two gentlemen speaking over each other, interrupting each other, and I think just in terms of character, that's something that I took away in terms of what we want to see moving forward in the next 4 years.
I'm very scared for our future, no matter which way it goes at this point. It felt like children bickering the whole time, very unprofessional, very messy. It was very disappointing to watch.
I would have liked them to talk more about COVID and like all the pandemic that's going around instead of just, yelling at each other basically. Because it's pretty much because let's be real, that was mostly what happened.
From what I got out of it, my fears were true because the first 15 minutes in, I just got the impression that it was going to be nothing but a lot of interjection and not really responding to the questions that were there. Even the moderator was kind of over it halfway through. If you saw numerous times, he tried to intercede and get the two sides to not personally attack one another, which it comprised of primarily that. So I thought I was going to get something out of it, but ultimately I didn't get much. I was kind of unfulfilled in that sense.
It was kind of embarrassing to watch as a voter, but I believe Biden came out on top a little bit. Unlike Trump, he sticked more to talking about policy, although he didn't give a clear explanation as what he planned to do as president. Also, I don't have much recollection of the 2016 debate, but Trump wasn't as well-spoken as he was 4 years ago, so that was a pretty big loss for him, especially trying to gain an independent vote.
Biden and Trump tried to do what they wanted to do. Trump appealing to his already a specific base, whereas Biden trying to reach out to a wider audience, meaning the progressive, meaning the central people that are independent. Biden tried to speak about policy, but towards the end of the debate, being interrupted every 5 seconds, speaking about policy is kind of hard to do if your opponent is interrupting you.
I wish they talked about climate change more. I feel like that's something that gets put on the back burner a lot, and we need to really discuss it more because it's imperative that we get that under control, or else there is nothing without fixing the climate change. We're nothing without this earth, and we have one shot.
I was definitely surprised to see key issues which we've seen in other debates in 2012, 2016, such as the Second Amendment and abortion were not mentioned as much. When it came to the question of the Supreme Court Justice nominee Amy Coney Barrett, they really focused more on what you could do against Obamacare than what you could really do against Roe v. Wade.
What do you think the role of younger voters will play in this upcoming election, and college students like yourself?
Well, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure about the statistic, but I think younger voters I think they represent 30% or something like that. Long story short, what I'm saying is that young voters are crucial in this upcoming election. We can single-handedly really sway the popular vote at least. And I think it's really important for us to not only just vote in this election, but vote in all and make it a practice, make it habitual, right? And know that we do have a voice. And yes, we may not feel like we have a strong voice in the presidential election, but local elections we do. It's based off that, right? So it's really making that a habit and knowing that if you're putting your vote and you're speaking out, you're using your voice and hopefully to make the change that you want to see.
For me, I feel like college students will have the biggest impact this election, because I know many times college students usually don't vote, but this year they're making a huge push to make sure everyone's registered, everyone's voting. So if everyone registers and turns out it can be the difference in this year's election.
Biden appeals more to our generation, not as much as more radical candidates like Bernie, because they really appeal because they're more focused on reform. But definitely I feel Biden is he actually cares about things that our generation should care about rather, and he can actually acknowledge things that exist. For example, Trump refuses to acknowledge systemic racism because he knows that his party doesn't even believe in that, so he can't denounce white supremacists. Like yesterday, he couldn't condemn or denounce the white supremacists because that opens up a whole entire like argument that his party doesn't even believe in, so he couldn't even touch upon it.
I mean, it's them recognizing that at the end of the day, the older generation's not going to be here as long as themselves. So if they choose not to participate in this election, it's kind of like they're convinced that like the older generations are going to still be there, and it's kind of just like pushing aside their own responsibility to take part in it, even though if their ideologies might not mesh with like the greater sentiment with the greater community, just not participating in it is just disregarding the responsibility altogether.
Now, even prior to the debate, over 1 million people have submitted their ballots, their absentee ballots before.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
It's a big year. It's a big year. Either you want to see the same 4 years that we've had happen again, or you want to see change. My major is diplomacy, so in terms of foreign policy and international relations, this is a big year for us to see how America can change its position in the international community and how crucial it is to do that at this point.
Every single person has to vote, get your absentee ballots, make sure you're filling them out correctly so they don't get disqualified. Every person needs to do their part. Although it can seem like, you know, your vote doesn't matter, like it does. Like you need to vote, every single person does. It's really important if we want to see change.
I'm so glad that this is a conversation that we're having, because at the end of the day, this is our world too. It's not just the men that are 70 years old and up, right? It's our world, so we should have a voice and we should be part of it, and we have every right to be, and the system has methods for us to do that, so it's time for us to take it and do it.
Well, that's going to do it here for Pirate TV. Once again, I'm Christian Gardner. We'll see you next time.
I did actually like Biden calling Trump a clown. That was actually that still gets me to this day.